The Galactic Empire's complacency. The vast halls of the Galactic Empire's Central Command echoed with the sound of confident laughter. High-ranking officials, adorned in ornate robes that shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, gathered around holographic displays showcasing their latest conquests. The Empire, spanning thousands of star systems and hundreds of alien races, had stood unchallenged for millennia. Admiral Zaxlor, a towering figure with iridescent scales and 6 piercing eyes, raised a crystalline goblet filled with a shimmering liquid. To another century of absolute dominion, he toasted, his voice a mix of clicks and low rumbles. The assembled dignitaries cheered, their varied appendages raised in celebration. As the revelry continued, a junior officer nervously approached the gathering. His antennae twitched with anxiety as he cleared his throat, a sound like rustling leaves. "Esteemed leaders," he began, his voice barely audible above the din, "we've received reports from the outer sectors. It seems we've encountered a new species." The laughter died down, replaced by curious murmurs. Admiral Zaxlor turned his attention to the young officer, looming over him. "Speak clearly, youngling. What of this new species?" The officer's exoskeleton paled slightly as he continued. "They call themselves humans, Admiral. They've recently achieved faster-than-light travel and have begun exploring systems on the edge of our territory." A ripple of amusement passed through the gathering. "Another fledgling race stumbling into the cosmos," chuckled Zaxlor. "Tell me, what threat could these humans possibly pose to the mighty Galactic Empire?" The young officer hesitated, his compound eyes darting nervously. "Well, sir, that's just it. Our initial scouting parties. They were defeated." Silence fell over the room, broken only by the soft hum of energy fields and distant machinery. Then, as if on cue, the gathering erupted in laughter once more. "Defeated? By primitives who've barely left their homeworld." Admiral Zaxlor bellowed, his scales flashing with amusement. "Surely our scouts must have malfunctioned, or perhaps these humans simply got lucky." The gathered officials nodded in agreement, dismissing the notion that a newly spacefaring race could pose any real threat. They had seen countless species rise and fall, each one assimilated into the Empire or crushed beneath its might. However, as the celebrations resumed, a seasoned strategist named Krelvox stood quietly in a corner, her tentacles curled in thought. She had seen the raw data from the encounters with the humans, and something didn't add up. Their ships, while seemingly primitive, had displayed maneuvers and weaponry that defied easy categorization. Krelvox approached the young officer as he retreated from the boisterous gathering. "Tell me more about these humans," she whispered, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with curiosity. The officer looked relieved to find a sympathetic ear. "They're different, Commander. Their ships, they don't match any known designs in our database. And their tactics, it's as if they've been preparing for interstellar warfare for centuries." Krelvox's eyes narrowed, the multiple pupils focusing intently. "How is that possible? They've only just achieved FTL capability." The officer shrugged, a very human gesture that he had unknowingly adopted. "I don't know, Commander, but the reports suggest they have technology that can adapt to our weapons in real time. And their communication, it's unlike anything we've seen. It's as if their entire fleet operates as a single organism." As the two spoke in hushed tones, the Empire's leadership continued their celebrations, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing on the horizon. Admiral Zaxlor raised his voice above the crowd. "Let these humans come. We'll show them the true might of the Galactic Empire. They'll make fine additions to our labor force, those we allow to live, that is." Cheers erupted once more, but Krelvox felt a chill run through her body. She had studied the rise and fall of empires throughout galactic history, and she recognized the signs of complacency that often preceded a great fall. In the following weeks, more reports trickled in from the outer sectors. Human ships were venturing further into Imperial space, establishing outposts and engaging in skirmishes with local defense forces. Each encounter seemed to end the same way, with Imperial ships retreating or destroyed, and human vessels disappearing back into the void. Admiral Zaxlor, finally forced to acknowledge the growing threat, called a meeting of the Empire's top military minds. "We must crush these upstarts quickly," he declared, his scales now a dull gray with concern. "Send the 7th Fleet to their home system. We'll show them the consequences of defying the Empire." As the orders were transmitted across the galaxy, Krell couldn't shake the feeling that they were grossly underestimating their new adversary. She had managed to intercept some human communications, and what she found both fascinated and terrified her. The humans spoke of concepts alien to Imperial thinking: democracy, individual rights, and a fierce determination to remain free. They didn't seek to conquer or subjugate. They simply wanted to exist on their own terms. But more than that, they were prepared to fight with every fiber of their being to protect their independence. As the 7th Fleet assembled, a vast armada of over 1,000 ships, Krell made one last attempt to warn Admiral Zaxlor. "Sir," she said, her tentacles weaving complex patterns of concern, "I believe we may be making a grave mistake. These humans, they're not like other species we've encountered. We should attempt diplomacy, try to understand them better before." "Enough!" Zaxlor roared, his scales flashing angry reds and oranges. "Your caution borders on cowardice, Commander. We are the Galactic Empire. We do not negotiate with primitive species. We conquer them." As Krell watched the 7th Fleet depart, a sense of foreboding settled over her. The Empire had faced challenges before, but something told her that this encounter with humanity would be different. It would change the course of galactic history forever. Little did they know, as the Imperial fleet surged towards Earth, that humanity was more than ready for their arrival. In secret bunkers and hidden shipyards across the solar system, mankind had been preparing for this moment for generations. The first contact with alien life had not been the Empire's scouts, but a crashed ship decades earlier, which had given humanity a glimpse of the galaxy that awaited them, and the threats it contained. As the 7th Fleet approached the edge of the solar system, they were met not by a ragtag group of defenders, but by a vast armada of ships that seemed to materialize from the very fabric of space. At their center loomed a vessel of impossible size, its hull gleaming with technology that even the Empire's most advanced sensors struggled to comprehend. A transmission crackled across all Imperial frequencies, a human voice filled with determination and a hint of anticipation. "Attention, Galactic Empire. We've been expecting you. Welcome to Earth. Let us show you how humanity deals with tyrants." The complacency of the Galactic Empire was about to be shattered, and the age of humanity was about to begin. Humanity's secret preparations. Long before the Galactic Empire's 7th Fleet approached Earth's solar system, humanity had been quietly preparing for this moment. The story of Earth's readiness began decades earlier, with an event that would forever alter the course of human history. On a crisp autumn night in 2047, a small alien scout ship crash-landed in the dense forests of Siberia. The incident, initially dismissed as a meteor strike, quickly became the most closely guarded secret on the planet. As world leaders gathered to examine the wreckage and its sole surviving occupant, they realized that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that they might be woefully unprepared for what lay beyond their atmosphere. The alien, a member of a species that had long ago been conquered by the Galactic Empire, used its final moments to warn humanity of the impending threat. With its dying breath, it transferred vast amounts of technological knowledge directly into the minds of the assembled scientists, a last act of defiance against its former oppressors. Dr. Amelia Chen, a brilliant physicist who had been present at the crash site, found her mind suddenly brimming with concepts that defied current scientific understanding. "It's incredible," she whispered, her eyes wide with wonder and fear. "We have to prepare. We have to innovate. And we have to do it in secret." Over the next several decades, humanity embarked on a clandestine mission of unprecedented scale. The world's governments, setting aside their differences in the face of a common threat, formed the Earth Defense Alliance, EDA. Under the guise of normal technological progress, the EDA poured resources into developing the advanced technologies they would need to face the Empire. Hidden facilities were constructed beneath the surface of the Moon and in the asteroid belt. Here, engineers and scientists worked tirelessly, using the alien knowledge as a springboard to create technologies that seemed like magic: gravity manipulation, energy shields, and weapons capable of disrupting the very fabric of space-time. Meanwhile, on Earth, a new generation was being prepared. Children with exceptional aptitudes were discreetly recruited into specialized training programs. They learned not only advanced sciences and combat techniques, but also the art of strategic thinking on a galactic scale. Commander Sarah Hawkins, one of the first graduates of this program, stood before a class of cadets in a secret underground facility. "The enemy we face believes in their superiority," she declared, her voice firm and eyes blazing with determination. "But they've never encountered humanity before. Our greatest strength lies not in our technology, but in our adaptability, our creativity, and our indomitable spirit." As the years passed, Earth's defenses grew stronger, hidden from prying eyes by advanced cloaking technologies. The first true human starships were constructed in the shadows of Jupiter's moons, their designs incorporating principles that the Empire had never conceived. Dr. Chen, now the lead scientist of the EDA, stood before a massive viewscreen displaying Earth's secret fleet. Sleek vessels with organic curves and pulsing energy cores floated silently in the void. "We've done it," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "We've created ships that can outmaneuver and outgun anything the Empire has." But the EDA knew that technology alone wouldn't be enough. They needed a unified Earth, a humanity that could stand together against the coming storm. In 2075, the world's nations took the unprecedented step of forming a global government, ostensibly to address climate change and resource scarcity. In reality, it was the final piece of the puzzle in humanity's preparations. As the first Imperial scouts entered the solar system in 2082, humanity was ready. These scouts, expecting to find a primitive civilization, instead encountered sophisticated defense systems that they couldn't begin to comprehend. Their defeats were swift and total, their distress signals snuffed out before they could alert the Empire to the true nature of their discovery. For years, humanity played a delicate game of cat and mouse with the Empire's outer patrols. They allowed just enough information to trickle back to create confusion and uncertainty within the Imperial ranks. It was a strategy of misdirection, designed to buy time and sow the seeds of complacency that would eventually lead to the Empire's downfall. In the heart of the EDA's command center, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, General Marcus Sato addressed the assembled leaders of Earth's united military forces. Holographic displays showed the positions of the incoming Imperial 7th Fleet, a vast armada that thought it was about to easily subjugate a primitive world. "Ladies and gentlemen," Sato began, his voice calm but filled with resolve, "the moment we've spent generations preparing for has arrived. The Empire comes, believing they will find an easy conquest. Instead, they will face the full might and ingenuity of a united human race." He paused, looking at each of the grim-faced officers before him. "We are not just fighting for our own survival, but for the freedom of every species that has suffered under Imperial rule. Today, we will show the galaxy that humanity is a force to be reckoned with." As the Imperial fleet approached, humanity's hidden armada began to emerge from its concealment. Ships seemed to materialize from empty space, their hulls shimmering with energy fields that defied Imperial sensors. At the center of the human fleet was the HS Defiance, a vessel of such immense size and power that it dwarfed even the Empire's largest dreadnoughts. Aboard the Defiance, Commander Hawkins stood on the bridge, surrounded by a crew that represented the best humanity had to offer. Each member had been trained since childhood for this moment, their minds linked by neural interfaces that allowed them to function as a single, hyper-efficient unit. "All ships, report in," Hawkins ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of history pressing down upon them. One by one, the captains of Earth's fleet signaled their readiness. Thousands of vessels, each a marvel of human ingenuity and alien inspiration, formed up into a battle formation that would have made the greatest tacticians in human history weep with admiration. As the Imperial fleet came into range, a tense silence fell over the human armada. Years of secrecy, decades of preparation, all led to this moment. Humanity had hidden in the shadows, allowing the Empire to underestimate them. But now, it was time to step into the light and show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. Commander Hawkins took a deep breath, her finger hovering over the communication panel. With a single command, she would reveal humanity's true strength to the Empire and change the course of galactic history forever. "Open a channel to the Imperial fleet," she ordered, her voice ringing with authority. "Let's introduce ourselves properly." As the communication link established, the faces of shocked Imperial officers appeared on the Defiance's main view screen. Commander Hawkins allowed herself a small smile before speaking words that would echo across the stars. "Attention, Galactic Empire. We are humanity, and we've been expecting you. Your reign of tyranny ends here. Welcome to Earth. Let us show you how we deal with would-be conquerors." With that declaration, the battle for Earth and the future of the galaxy was about to begin. The Empire reels. Admiral Zaxlor stood frozen on the bridge of the Imperial flagship, his 6 eyes wide with disbelief as he stared at the vast human armada before him. What should have been an easy conquest had turned into a nightmare scenario. The holographic displays surrounding him flickered with urgent reports and damage assessments as the first salvos from the human fleet tore through his vanguard. "Impossible," he muttered, his scales shifting to a sickly pale color. "How could they have hidden such a force from us?" Around him, the bridge crew scrambled to respond to the unexpected threat. Alarms blared as ship after ship reported critical damage from weapons that seemed to ignore their shields entirely. The Empire's much-vaunted technology, the fruit of millennia of conquest and assimilation, was being outmatched at every turn. On the main view screen, the human vessels moved with a fluidity that defied conventional space combat tactics. They seemed to anticipate the Empire's maneuvers before they even began, effortlessly evading incoming fire while delivering precision strikes that crippled Imperial ships with terrifying efficiency. "Admiral," shouted his second-in-command, tentacles writhing in agitation. "We've lost a third of the fleet already. Their weapons, they're like nothing we've ever encountered." Zaxlor's mind raced. In all his years of service, he had never faced a situation like this. The Empire had always been the technologically superior force, able to crush any resistance through sheer firepower and numbers. But now, watching his mighty armada crumble before this upstart species, he felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries. Fear. "All ships, regroup," he ordered, his voice cracking slightly. "Form a defensive perimeter. We need to buy time to analyze their weapons and tactics." But even as he gave the order, Zaxlor knew it was too late. The human fleet moved like a single organism, adapting to each Imperial tactic faster than they could be implemented. It was as if they could read the Empire's playbook and were always 3 moves ahead. Aboard the HSS Defiance, Commander Sarah Hawkins watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. The neural link connecting her to her crew and the rest of the human fleet provided real-time updates, allowing her to direct the engagement with unprecedented precision. "Target their command ships," she ordered, her thoughts instantly relayed to the fleet. "Let's see how well they fight when their chain of command is in chaos." As if in response to her thoughts, a group of smaller human vessels broke from the main formation. They accelerated at impossible speeds, weaving through the Imperial defenses as if they weren't there. Before the Empire could react, These ships unleashed a barrage of energy pulses that phased directly through the Imperial flagship shields, shorting out their main systems. Admiral Zaxlor stumbled as his ship shuddered under the assault. The lights on the bridge flickered and died, plunging them into darkness broken only by emergency lighting and the glow of battle outside the viewports. "Status report," he bellowed, but was met with only confused shouts and the sound of systems failing all around him. Meanwhile, across the Imperial fleet, similar scenes of chaos were unfolding. Ships lost power, weapons went offline, and communication systems crackled with static. The mighty Seventh Fleet, pride of the Galactic Empire, was being systematically dismantled by an enemy they had grossly underestimated. Back on the Imperial capital, the news of the fleet's defeat spread like wildfire. The Emperor, a being of such advanced age that they had transcended physical form, manifested as a swirling vortex of energy in the Grand Council chamber. "How is this possible?" The Emperor's voice boomed, shaking the very foundations of the palace. "We are the Galactic Empire. We have ruled unopposed for eons." The assembled counselors cowered before their ruler's wrath. None dared speak for fear of bearing the full brunt of the Emperor's anger. Finally, a single figure stepped forward, Krelvox, her tentacles moving in patterns that conveyed both respect and determination. "Your Imperial Majesty," she began, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. "I warned that these humans were different. We have grown complacent in our power, and now we face an enemy that has turned our own arrogance against us." The Emperor's energy form pulsed dangerously. "Explain yourself, Commander." Krelvox activated a holographic display, showing the battle that was still raging in the Sol system. "The humans have not just matched our technology, they've surpassed it. More than that, they fight with a unity of purpose that we haven't seen in millennia. Every defeat we've handed other species, every cruel subjugation, the humans have studied them all and prepared accordingly." As the council watched in stunned silence, the hologram showed human ships moving in formations that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Their weapons pierced Imperial defenses as if they weren't there, and their shields absorbed punishing attacks without faltering. "We are not just facing a new species," Krelvox continued, her voice gaining strength. "We are facing the consequences of our own history. The humans fight not just for themselves, but for every race we've ever oppressed. They've positioned themselves as the liberators of the galaxy, and I fear many of our subject worlds will rally to their cause." The Emperor's form writhed in fury, but beneath the anger, there was a note of fear that none in the chamber had ever witnessed before. "What do you suggest, Commander? Shall we roll over and allow these upstarts to destroy everything we've built?" Krelvox stood her ground. "No, Your Majesty, but we must change our approach. The old ways of brute force and intimidation will not work against this enemy. We must adapt, as they have, or we will fall." As if to punctuate her words, a new alert blared through the chamber. The holographic display shifted, showing a massive human fleet emerging from hyperspace near one of the Empire's core worlds. "Impossible," whispered one of the counselors. "How did they discover the hyperspace routes so quickly?" The answer came moments later as the human ships engaged the unprepared Imperial defenses. Their attacks were precise, targeting military installations while leaving civilian areas untouched. It was a style of warfare alien to the Empire, one that sought to liberate rather than conquer. The Emperor's form condensed, a sign of intense concentration. "Mobilize everything we have," came the command, tinged with an emotion no one had ever heard from their ageless ruler. "Uncertainty. Call in every fleet, every reserve. We are no longer fighting to expand our empire. We are fighting for our very survival." As the orders went out across the galaxy, the once mighty Galactic Empire found itself in an unfamiliar position. For the first time in living memory, they were on the defensive, reeling from an attack they never saw coming. The age of Imperial dominance was over, and a new era of galactic conflict had begun. In the Sol system, aboard the HSS Defiance, Commander Hawkins allowed herself a moment of reflection as she watched the remains of the Imperial 7th Fleet retreat in disarray. This was only the beginning, she knew. The real war was just starting, and humanity would need every ounce of ingenuity and determination to see it through. All ships, she broadcast to the human fleet, her voice firm with resolve. Prepare for Phase 2. It's time to take the fight to the Empire. As humanity's vessels formed up for their next assault, a new chapter in galactic history was about to be written. One where the underdogs would challenge the very foundations of an ancient and corrupt order. The battle for galactic dominance. The news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy like wildfire, igniting hope in the hearts of countless oppressed species. For millennia, the Galactic Empire had seemed an immovable force, an eternal constant in the cosmos. Now that illusion was shattered. On Sarlath, a desert world long stripped of its resources by imperial mining operations, the native Exarlathians watched in awe as holographic broadcasts showed human ships decimating imperial fleets. In the underground caverns of Nebula 6, a collective consciousness of gaseous beings pulsed with excitement at the prospect of freedom. Across 1,000 worlds, in 1,000,000 different forms of life, a single word was whispered, typed, telepathically shared: hope. But the Empire was far from defeated. Pushed into a corner, they were now fighting with the desperation of a wounded beast. Emperor Zoxulan, their energy form now a maelstrom of furious power, issued a galaxy-wide decree. To all citizens of the Galactic Empire, hear this. We face an unprecedented threat from a species known as humans. They seek to destroy the order and stability we have maintained for eons. Every able-bodied being is hereby conscripted into the Imperial forces. Resistance will be met with immediate execution. The Empire will prevail. Across Imperial space, factory worlds doubled their production of warships and weapons. Entire populations were pressed into military service, often with minimal training. The Empire was betting on overwhelming numbers to counter humanity's technological edge. Meanwhile, the human fleet, led by the indomitable Commander Sarah Hawkins, pushed deeper into Imperial territory. Their strategy was clear: liberate oppressed worlds, disrupt supply lines, and steadily chip away at the Empire's vast infrastructure. On the jungle world of Verdana, a key Imperial shipyard, human forces engaged in their first major ground battle against the Empire. Drop pods pierced the planet's thick canopy, deploying squads of human soldiers equipped with powered armor that made them each equivalent to a small army. Sergeant Maria Chen, her armor systems interfacing seamlessly with her neural implants, led her squad through the dense undergrowth. They moved like ghosts, their armor adapting its camouflage in real time to match their surroundings. Contact, 2 o'clock. Chen's voice rang out over the squad's comm channel. A group of Imperial troopers, their bulky armor ill-suited for the terrain, came into view. What followed was less a battle and more a demonstration of human superiority. Chen's squad moved with inhuman speed and coordination, their weapons firing silent pulses that dropped the Imperial soldiers before they could even raise their rifles. As the skirmish ended, Chen paused to examine one of the fallen Imperial troopers. Its face was a mass of tentacles, eyes wide with fear even in death. For a moment, she felt a pang of empathy. "They're just following orders," she murmured. "Orders to enslave and destroy," came the gruff reply from her second-in-command. "Remember what they've done to countless worlds, Sarge. We're here to end that." Chen nodded, pushing aside her doubts. The mission was clear: secure the shipyard and turn the Empire's own resources against them. In orbit above Verdana, the space battle raged with unparalleled ferocity. Imperial dreadnoughts, massive vessels bristling with weapons, faced off against the more nimble and advanced human ships. The void lit up with energy beams, missile trails, and the silent explosions of destroyed vessels. Aboard the HS Defiance, Commander Hawkins orchestrated the battle with the precision of a master conductor. The neural link allowed her to process information from hundreds of ships simultaneously, making split-second decisions that meant the difference between victory and defeat. Gamma Squadron. Execute Maneuver Theta 9. She ordered, her thoughts instantly relayed to the fleet. A group of human corvettes broke formation, diving beneath an Imperial cruiser. Their weapons fired in perfect synchronization, striking the larger ship's vulnerable underside and splitting it in two. But the Empire was learning, adapting to human tactics. A new wave of Imperial ships emerged from hyperspace, their designs clearly influenced by captured human technology. They moved with greater agility, their weapons more focused and deadly. "They're evolving," Hawkins muttered, a mix of admiration and concern in her voice. "All ships, prepare for evasive pattern Delta. We need to end this quickly." As the battle for Verdana reached its climax, similar engagements were taking place across the galaxy. On the ice world of Glacius, human mechs faced off against Imperial walkers in frozen wastelands. In the asteroid fields of the Kuiper Belt, swarms of human drones engaged in complex dogfights with Imperial fighters. The war had become a test of adaptability. Humanity's greatest strength, their ability to innovate and think creatively, was pitted against the Empire's vast resources and millennia of experience. It was a conflict unlike any the galaxy had ever seen, with the fate of countless civilizations hanging in the balance. Months turned into years as the war raged on. Both sides suffered heavy losses, and the toll on civilian populations across the galaxy was immense. Entire worlds were reduced to ash in the crossfire, while others found themselves suddenly free after centuries of oppression. In the galactic core, Emperor Zoxulan felt their grip on power slipping. More and more worlds were declaring independence, emboldened by human victories. The once unquestioned loyalty of their subjects was crumbling. "We need a new strategy," the Emperor declared to their war council. "These humans, they fight not just with weapons, but with ideas. They offer something we never have: choice." Krulvox, now promoted to Grand Strategist, stepped forward. "Perhaps, Your Majesty, it's time we considered a radical approach. What if we were to offer reforms? Limited autonomy to some worlds, a relaxation of our more oppressive policies." The suggestion was met with outrage from many counselors, but the Emperor held up a tendril, silencing them. "Speak, Krulvox. I sense you have more to say." "The humans have shown us our greatest weakness," Krulvox continued. "Our rigidity. We've ruled through fear for so long, we've forgotten how to inspire loyalty. If we can show the galaxy that we're capable of change, we might yet turn the tide." As the Imperial leadership debated this radical shift in policy, humanity pressed its advantage. The war had taken its toll, but the spirit that had allowed them to defy the Empire remained unbroken. In a bold move, Commander Hawkins proposed a strike at the very heart of Imperial power, the Galactic core itself. It was a risky plan, one that would commit almost all of humanity's military strength to a single decisive battle. "We've come too far to stop now," Hawkins addressed the United Earth government. "The Empire is weakening, but they're still dangerous. If we don't end this soon, the war could drag on for decades, maybe centuries. We have a chance to bring freedom to the galaxy in our lifetime." As the human fleet prepared for its most ambitious assault yet, the stage was set for a confrontation that would determine the fate of the galaxy. The Galactic Empire, a force that had dominated for millennia, faced off against humanity, a species that had gone from planetary civilization to interstellar power in the blink of a cosmic eye. The final battle was about to begin, and with it, the dawn of a new galactic age, a new galactic order. The Galactic core, a swirling maelstrom of stars and energy, had been the seat of Imperial power for millennia. Its defenses were legendary, a network of battle stations, minefields, and gravity wells designed to shred any invading force. For eons, it had stood as an impregnable fortress, the ultimate symbol of the Empire's dominance. Now, it faced its greatest test. The human fleet emerged from hyperspace in a dazzling display of coordination. Thousands of ships, from nimble fighters to massive dreadnoughts, appeared simultaneously at strategic points throughout the core systems. At the heart of the formation, the HSS Defiance led the charge, its sleek hull gleaming with the power of a contained star. Commander Sarah Hawkins stood on the bridge, her neural link connecting her not just to her ship and fleet, but to every human soldier and pilot engaged in the battle. Through her, the collective will of humanity flowed, a symphony of determination and hope. "All ships, commence Operation Daybreak," she ordered, her voice calm despite the weight of history pressing down upon her. The human fleet surged forward, immediately engaging the Imperial defenses. But this was no mere frontal assault. Years of fighting had taught humanity the value of unconventional tactics, and they put every lesson to use. Swarms of nanodrones, invisible to Imperial sensors, infiltrated the massive defense platforms, reprogramming them to turn on their masters. Quantum disruptors created localized pockets of altered spacetime, causing Imperial ships to phase out of sync with reality. Human shins, their minds enhanced by technology, projected illusions on a massive scale, sowing confusion among the enemy ranks. The Empire, caught off guard by the audacity and scale of the human assault, struggled to mount an effective defense. Emperor Zoxulan, their energy form pulsing with fury and fear, barked orders from the Imperial Palace. "Launch everything we have. I want every ship, every soldier, every weapon brought to bear. We will not fall to these upstarts." As the battle raged across the core systems, a smaller, elite team of human operatives, led by Sergeant Maria Chen, made their way towards the Imperial Palace itself. Their mission was critical: capture or neutralize the Emperor and the Imperial leadership. Chen's team moved through the sprawling complex, their advanced stealth technology allowing them to bypass most of the security. But as they neared the central chambers, they encountered resistance unlike anything they had faced before. The Imperial Guard, beings of pure energy shaped by the Emperor's will, materialized before them. These were no ordinary soldiers, but the pinnacle of the Empire's power, each one a match for an entire human squad. "Hold the line," Chen shouted, her powered armor adjusting to counter the Guard's energy attacks. "Remember what we're fighting for." The ensuing battle was a blur of energy blasts, hand-to-hand combat, and desperate maneuvers. Chen's team fought with everything they had, their human ingenuity and adaptability tested to its limits against the raw power of the Guards. Meanwhile, in space, the tide of battle began to turn in humanity's favor. The Imperial fleets, despite their numbers, found themselves outmaneuvered and outgunned at every turn. Human ships danced through their formations, striking with surgical precision and vanishing before retaliation could come. Aboard the Defiance, Commander Hawkins allowed herself a moment of hope. "We're breaking through," she announced to the fleet. "All ships, push forward. Victory is within our grasp." But the Empire had one last card to play. As Chen's team breached the final defenses of the Imperial Palace, Emperor Zoxulan revealed their ultimate weapon, a device capable of initiating a controlled supernova, threatening to obliterate not just the human fleet, but much of the galactic core itself. "You leave me no choice," the Emperor's voice boomed across all frequencies. "If we cannot rule the galaxy, then let it burn." In that moment, with annihilation looming, humanity faced its greatest test. The easy path would be to retreat, to save themselves, and leave the core to its fate. But that was not the human way. Commander Hawkins' voice, filled with steel determination, rang out across the fleet. "All ships, initiate Protocol Omega. We didn't come this far to let fear stop us now." As one, the human fleet began to move, but instead of retreating, they advanced, forming a living shield between the Imperial Palace and the rest of the core. If the supernova device activated, they would bear the brunt of the blast, sacrificing themselves to save trillions of lives. Inside the palace, Sergeant Chen and her team fought their way to the Emperor's chamber. As they burst through the final door, they found Zoxulon hovering over the supernova device, tendrils poised to activate it. "Stop!" Chen shouted, her weapon trained on the Emperor. "It's over. Look around you. Look at what your empire has become. Is this truly what you wanted?" For a moment, silence reigned. Then, to everyone's shock, a new voice entered the fray. It was Krelvox, the grand strategist, who had been quietly observing the entire conflict. "Your Majesty," she said, her tentacles moving in patterns of supplication and wisdom, "I beg you to reconsider. These humans, they could have destroyed us utterly. Instead, they offer themselves to save not just their people, but ours as well. Is this not the nobility we once claimed to possess?" Emperor Zoxulon's form flickered, uncertainty visible in their energy patterns. For the first time in eons, doubt entered their mind. In that moment of hesitation, humanity's true strength shone through. It wasn't their technology, their tactics, or even their unity. It was their capacity for mercy, for seeing the possibility of redemption even in their greatest enemy. Commander Hawkins' voice, transmitted through Chen's comm, filled the chamber. "Emperor Zoxulon, we offer you a choice, not surrender, but partnership. Help us build a galaxy where all species can thrive, where power comes not from dominance, but from cooperation. Let this be the dawn of a new age, not just for humanity, not just for the Empire, but for all sentient life." The tension in the room was palpable as everyone waited for the Emperor's response. Finally, slowly, Zoxulon's tendrils withdrew from the device. Perhaps the Emperor's voice resonated, tinged with something that might have been humility. "It is time for a change." With those words, millennia of conflict came to an end. The supernova device was dismantled, and a ceasefire was declared across the galaxy. In the days and weeks that followed, representatives from every known species gathered to forge a new galactic covenant. The Galactic Empire was dissolved, replaced by a federation of free worlds. Power was distributed, with each species given a voice in shaping the future of the galaxy. Earth, as the catalyst for this monumental change, was offered a leadership role, but in true human fashion, they insisted on equal partnership with all races. As the new era dawned, Commander Sarah Hawkins stood on the observation deck of the HSS Defiance, gazing out at the stars. Beside her, Sergeant Maria Chen and the newly appointed Ambassador Krelvox watched the ongoing celebrations across the core worlds. "You know," Hawkins mused, "when we first looked up at the stars, we wondered if we were alone. Then we wondered if we could survive in a hostile galaxy. Now, I can't help but wonder, what incredible things will we achieve together?" Chen nodded, a smile playing on her lips. "Whatever it is, it's going to be one hell of an adventure." Krelvox's tentacles waved in a gesture of agreement. "Indeed, the galaxy has entered a new age, thanks to the indomitable spirit of humanity. And I, for one, am excited to see where it leads us." As the three of them stood there, representatives of the past, present, and future of galactic civilization, a sense of limitless possibility filled the air. The war was over, but the true journey, the exploration of a united galaxy, was just beginning. In the vast expanse of space, countless stars twinkled, each one a potential home for new discoveries, new friendships, and new adventures.